thank you for joining us this Saturday morning. Women and children are reported to be the most adversely affected groups by insecurity in the country, but incidentally, they seem less visible than their male counterparts when it comes to discussing issues related to how to tackle insecurity in the country, even when the problem of insecurity is being discussed. You can hardly see women at the table. Look at the forces, for instance. How many women are represented? You know, these are issues we're going to be looking at this morning. Yesterday being International Women's Day and tomorrow being Mothering Sunday. It's all about the women today. So it's my pleasure to welcome the Managing Director, Trans World Security Systems, Mrs. Victoria Ekhomu.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Now, I know that we are at a disadvantage.
Yes.
Especially in Nigeria, or should I say more so in Nigeria. Now, you are a security expert. In your experience, how often have you had to have security discussions that involved women? Not as in as they are affected, because we know that they are affected.
Yes.
As in when you are looking for solutions. How often have women been involved in those discussions?
Thank you for that question. When they are, like you rightly said, women are mostly affected when there are cases of insecurity, banditry, kidnapping, and all of that. But women, I can't recall when women have been called to the table to discuss issues of insecurity by government. Because when there are issues of insecurity, the people that are mostly called are the police, the armed forces, you know,
and all of that. By men.
Yeah, all men. And women are hardly called. And even the private security sector, they are not even called to the table, because I'm part of the private security sector. We are not invited. But we have the technology to help to resolve these problems.
Why do you think women
private companies?
Yeah, I'm talking even private companies are not even involved. Not to talk about women. I mean, and women are not many, even in the private security.
Why do you think that is the case, that women don't get called when those issues are being discussed?
I believe they just assume that women are the feeble victims, they are the weaker sex, and they have nothing to contribute to the table. But you forget that women, we are the ones, there's no man that is brought up in this world without a woman, no matter how crazy he is. Every man is born by a woman. And they nurture them, and they are able to influence the men. But they are never called when there are problems.
Why do you think it is significant for women to get called for such conversations?
Who are the people that make the home? You have a husband, you have the wife, but who are really the people behind the home? When the woman is not there, there's no home.
Yeah, I understand.
So the woman has a major role to play in influencing the children, whether they are male or female. So if they are also called in the community, they can assist. Then if they are called by government, they can also be very effective, because we have to use different methods. It's not only using the guns, like the military. What they understand is holding the guns. But
what I understand from my partner's question is, what will the women bring to bear when they are called to this table?
That's what I'm trying to say, that the women...
Am I correct?
Yeah. That the women, they can better influence even the people. That's in a more diplomatic way. That, like, if I know, let's take for my family right now. You get what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Like, the women, they nurture the children.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. But the argument someone could be coming up with there is, look, it's the job of the man to protect his home. So it's the job of the man to make sure that the woman does everything that she needs to do to ensure that the home is secure and everything. And I will protect the home, but she will be the one to nurture the home. So that's why I'm asking, if women were brought to the table to discuss security issues,
yes,
what difference will it make to the architecture?
They will be able to provide the solutions that are not the other strategies different from what the men will bring to the table. Like even like I say, in the family right now, a woman will be the one to tell the children what to do. They bring up the children in what to do. Though the man says he protects, but he's really busy with his work. It's the woman that will nurture these children, and they bring, I will give an example of my, let me use my children. Like when I started my family, I remember my son, my fourth son, when he went to school, he brought all the rulers, pencils of other children. Do you get what I'm saying? He brought them to the house. He didn't know better. So I had to stop him, I had to tell him that you don't bring anybody's things to my house. If I ever see you with those things, my husband was there, but he didn't really pay attention. If I ever see you with anybody's things in my house, then you hear from me. That was the last time this guy touched anything that didn't belong to him. Then even when he was in school, he joined another friend to start bullying others. It was a white school in the US. There were about 5 of them that were black. He would be, every time I go to pick him up, he would beat himself and his friend. They would beat up and bloody up white children. And I'll meet him on that punishment. So for me, just like what you said, I called my husband. I said, this is what your son is doing. Handle it. And to him, it was funny because he had lived in the US. He's used to the racial problems that are in the place, and he was happy that his son could beat up and bloody up the white people. So he was laughing. He said, "Good for them. Let him deal with them." And to me, that was not okay. You understand? So I left my husband to travel because I left it to him before to handle, but he didn't handle it. So what I did when he traveled, I now told my husband, I beat up my son, and I warned him that I should never meet him under punishment. So because of that beating, and it's in the US, because of the way I handled him, when his friend is going to beat up the white people, he stayed away from it. And guess what? 2 months after, his friend was expelled from the school. So he would have been expelled too.
Continued, he too would have been expelled.
So the men are the ones they say protect, but the women are the ones that really bring up these children. The ones that are killing people and everything. It's a failure. The women maybe didn't do what they were supposed to do to ensure, or maybe it was left to the men to take care of. And
that's a different thinking altogether. Yeah. So it's the mothers that should have nurtured the women away from the kind of things that that are being done now.
The culture, they are supposed to nurture nurture them in the right values.
All these kidnapping things would have been staved off if the children had been brought up correctly.
It starts at the home, then the school too has a role to play. But if nothing is done, or you leave them to the men who feel, maybe the men are in the radical set, then the children will follow suit. But if the women are involved and they are really, they are told to take up their roles properly, then some of these things will fizzle out. Remember when we had the right values in Nigeria, you put your things out, nobody touches those things. But, with the get-rich-quick syndrome, it has changed. It doesn't matter whether you kill anybody. Even your parents will even be, they will be praising you when you buy them houses. They won't care whether you are a Yahoo person. They won't care how you got the money, or whether you killed people to get the money to do it.
This is the 21st century, and it's the age of technology.
Yes.
Is there any way that technology can help women in the area of keeping them safe and secure from all these things that are happening around them?
The women, we have things like tracking systems. Women can wear personal tracking on them because when this...
but these are rural women to start with.
No, I'm just saying, you are talking about technology.
Well, yes, yes.
The government can come in to help. You understand what I'm saying? When these bandits come into a place, the people that are most vulnerable are the women and children. They are the ones they move out. If they have, even if it's a few random people that they give these trackings, they're not so expensive. The government can even invest in it. If they are the ones that even have this tracking system, when they are moved, especially children in schools right now, because part of the ploy is to prevent children from going to school, because they go there. It's like what just happened in Kaduna State, where they went another mass abduction. If in the school they have something like that, like some tracking system, when they are moved, at least you can track where they are taking them to. And then the security forces can go after them and help to, rescue them from those people. Then there should be things like, in the schools, there should be things like cameras. I know that you say it's in the rural area, but now we have a problem. We can't just sit down and say it's rural. I think government has to take ownership.
The footages we saw of that particular school in Kaduna, where this thing happened a few days ago, it was like there were no fences, there was no gate, it was just open. And I'm wondering, how come since Chibok we still have such schools in Nigeria?
That's sad, because I know even personally, when I was the national president for my old girls, I had planned to renovate a complex, that's a building. But then this Chibok happened, and then the abductions continued in schools. And I found out that my school, though we had fence, the fence had broken in so many parts because you could see cows walking into a lot of compound, a lot of premises, and they come in to graze with their headers. And with that, they also take the schoolgirls when they are ready. So what did I do? I had to focus on ensuring that the fence, though was massive, that's a Maragority, though the fence was massive, I had to ensure, I had to ensure that the fence was taken care of, and at least secure the children and the students and visitors to that place. So at least that the physical security is important. Then if you can put just a couple, even things like inverters are not too expensive. Some of them might not even have lights. 25,000 or so, you have one. If you throw about 4 around the place, there'll be at least some light, even when they take light.
Okay. Madam, you are in the security space. How possible is it that about 200 women will be abducted from an internally displaced persons camp, about 287, almost 300 children abducted from a school, and there was no intelligence to pick it, and the logistics of moving, because I don't know if there is any land vehicle that can move 200 people at a time, not even 100.
Doesn't make sense.
To the best of my knowledge, much less in Kaduna or Borno. So what do you think could have happened? I'm talking about this to you as a woman so that the world can know that women have options. They have some good thinking about this that government at various levels can use.
It reminds me about the Chibok girls, their abduction. If you remember, that was mass abduction from a school. And it really didn't make sense that they took all of them and nobody saw them, and nobody could stop them. There was no police. Meanwhile, every local government is supposed to have police. Every local government is supposed to have civil defense. And there are women and men in these areas, and nobody could stop, call for help, and prevent it. We recall that even in that one, some people dropped off. You know, there were some of the girls were able to
run away.
And
Yes.
that's how they were safe. So this one that happened in Kaduna also, beats me for them to have moved them successfully without without anybody stopping them. And this is an IDP camp. One will expect that there will be better security at the IDP camp because it's not the first time they're having issues like that. So government that have moved these people out of their homes to IDP camps, supposed to, it behooves them that they put at least some, even if it's minimum security, even if it's guards, guards in place, physical guards that are there to at least see what is happening and then
raise the alarm.
Call for help.
Yes.
Then there should be at least even police around the place. So for everything to have fallen off and for them to have taken them successfully, I don't know. Maybe there's a conspiracy. I don't know. Maybe there's a conspiracy. At times, I remember when the Chibok girls happened, people were saying that it was a ploy against the government of the day. You understand? To embarrass the government of the day. That was what was said there during the Jonathan administration. So this mass abduction again, I think there should be more investigation to see whether, what is behind it, because it really doesn't make, these people are not invisible.
Exactly.
They are visible, and there are so many that they are moving at the same time. So no security guard, no police, no woman, even women are in the communities. So men are in the communities that can call for help.
You say government has so many questions to answer about this whole thing in the first place. That's what you're saying.
It doesn't make sense. I don't know whether it's the government or it's against the government.
Well, the government is the true security of the state.
Government also has a role to play because they're supposed to have protected the IDP camps, especially in view of what has been occurring in many of these IDP camps.
Yeah, just to be clear, Alero, before you take your question, the abductions in IDP camps happened in Borno State.
Yes.
The abduction of 280
happened in Kaduna.
State. Yeah. And the president has already ordered
the military
that the children and everyone who has been abducted should be brought back. I'm waiting for that order to be obeyed. Let's go ahead.
You are a security expert. I keep stressing on that. So what do you think, what long-term strategies are needed to address the root causes of insecurity generally in the country?
Right now, one of the root causes of that is even increasing the insecurities in the land is the economic situation. The hunger in the land is, in fact, turning more people that maybe might not get into violent means or might not, be a threat. Many of them are turning into that because they are hungry. So I think the government has to look at that very quickly. The food insecurity, because the new one that just added to it is hoodlums, or I'll say poor people attacking warehouses. Trucks that are in transit, they are, to get the food. That's a new one. It's never happened before. It's only during the NSAS that we had something
COVID,
like
actually.
that.
COVID.
COVID. But now, it's very common now. When Dangote trucks and the others, they just go attack them and take food out of those places. So the food, look at how to address the food crisis that we have. The poverty in the land, it is palpable. I am in the security industry. How much do we really pay a guard? It's minimal. And then the money can maybe only take care of transportation. But how do they feed? And most of them marry more wives than us, and they eat more than we do. You understand? So that's a problem. So that has to be, the food crisis has to be addressed. Then the police, they have to take up their role in policing the nation, because in a civil society, police has a major role to play. But as you notice, the military, they are taking up most of the roles of the police. You understand what I'm saying? So
I'm glad you brought in that, you brought in the police, because I'm
they're
sure
in every local government.
some people are also wondering, if there were more women in the armed forces and in the police force,
Yes.
would it affect the strategies which government is using to tackle this problem?
Of course it will, because like we have said earlier, women and children are the most affected. So if women are part of this architecture, of course they'll be more empathic and they'll be more focused in ensuring that the ongoing insecurity does not continue. At least they will be able to ensure that they stop it. Because right now it's like, though we have the police, it's like what just happened, the mass abduction. There was no police presence, because in their move, they passed so many geographical, and then even the civil defense are supposed to be part of this architecture, and they're in every local government. So if women see these people moving them, they are supposed to be able to call for help and then stop them. But there was an absence.
Now,
so women have a major role to play.
Part of what she also said about strategies, I know that I think secondary school students now are being taught some kind of security,
civic
security
studies.
Courses or whatever it is that
Yes,
they have to
civic.
take subjects
Yes.
on security. I was actually very surprised and happy, very delighted to see that they are now teaching them from that level, about security, awareness, and prevention or whatever. What kind of things should we be communicating to those children in a way that they will be safe while protecting themselves from such occurrences? Because I'm not very sure that they were, I don't know whether or not they were armed.
Yeah, I don't know the curriculum. I remember my late husband, worked with some of them. But I don't know what the curriculum is all about. But there are things that children should know to protect themselves from being victims. At times, it's just like when some of them are to be adopted, they're attracted by different things, either food or, at times these people might even use jazz. You understand what I'm saying? It's true. you get what I'm saying? So when you see a stranger, you avoid the stranger. I mean, we're told, I remember when we were growing up, when you see a stranger, they greet you, just greet, but move away. Don't get overly friendly, because at times they can have ulterior motives. And if they're trying to give you sweets or food, because they can use that to, attract you and they abduct you. So some of the things, strangers, be careful with strangers. And, so.
I'm actually, as my colleague said, I don't know whether it is something that also happens in the US and other parts of the world, because rather than wait for the jazz, they just bring out spray pepper. Once they spray you like 2 or 3 times, all of your jazz will disappear. So do you think it is something that can also work here? I mean, all the children should have spray peppers or something, so that whenever any abductor comes?
That is a technology. But he was also saying, rural. But that's a technology that can be given. That's pepper spray. It's useful for women even. Just have pepper spray, women and children.
Yes.
So if there's any attack on you, you spray it and then you run away. I remember those days, there were times we used to bring something that they call Zapper. It's a little thing. And if someone comes close to you and, is trying to manhandle you, you can use it on the person. It will knock the person off. Not kill the person, knock the person off. And then you can at least have a chance to run away. Because pepper spray, the person can still hold you, hold you tight. But that one, the Zapper, but a pepper spray has a place. But the Zapper, I remember we used to bring it, that's in the 90s, we used to bring it quite a bit. People were buying it. You just...
I have one.
And then when
it's a torchlight.
Yeah, and then you just, if someone comes after you, you just use it on the person, and the person...
Zap
the person, and the person falls down, and you take off. At least it gives you a chance to, escape and survive. Because since the armed forces are not there to quickly get you, you have to have something.
You have to have your own force.
Your own force.
In your purse.
You have to have your own force.
Okay, we have to wind down now, or should I say wind up? Are we winding up or down?
We shall wind.
Let's wind. Okay. So what are your hopes for a future where women can live safely? Or should I say, are you hopeful that in the near future, women will feel safer in this society?
A lot of things have to be done for that. There have to be legislative amendments.
Domestic violence as well.
Domestic violence. There has to be legislative changes. The way the laws are, which are archaic, must be changed. You must address them. And then women must be involved in this, in the decision making. In the decision making of whatever architecture is put in place to protect the nation. It shouldn't be an all men's affair. Like in the police, there's no woman in the top hierarchy. In the military, no woman in the top hierarchy. In the Navy, no woman in the top hierarchy. In all those forces, there's no woman there. So if we now start having a situation where women are moved up, because most times when they are getting to those positions, they retire them, So if we have that, then there'll be hope.
Is that true?
Have you seen any woman IGP? Have you seen any woman Chief of Defense Staff? Have you seen any woman top of immigration?
Maybe they don't join the forces to start with.
There are some, but there are not many. So they have to be encouraged to come in, and they have to also be protected, because at times, when you even hear some of their stories, there are times, because they are so few, there's the support system might not be so much, and, to ensure that they go all the way. And at times...
We have a female controller general now, haven't we?
That's all.
Immigration service.
That's all. We thank God.
Well,
but that's just one.
Let's just say
that's just one. So, but when we now start deliberately moving women up the ladder, then there'll be hope. Right now, it's still very hopeless.
Mrs. Victoria Ekhomu, Managing Director, Trans World Security Systems Limited. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much.
Talk to us
Thank
today.
you for having me.
Sunrise will be right back, and we're still talking about the women.
And
Stay with us.
Just to also say, well, perhaps to give her some hope, the next guest is also a woman, Minister of State for Police Affairs. Yes, she's a woman. She's a woman. She's one of us.
She's one of us.
Let's be hopeful. Let's continue to work.